In today's video, I want to talk about the 9 key factors that play a role in determining what the selling price of any home is. The biggest and the first one is the economy. It's about the global economy, the U.S. economy, the Bay Area economy, what's happening in the tech sector, what's happening in the finance sector. Those all play a role in what prices here are going to be. And those get reflected in what we call the housing market. The second biggest factor in determining the price of a home is location. Clearly, it matters what county you're in, what geographic area you're in. Are you along the coast? Are you inland? What's the ecosystem? What's the climate? These are all broader factors that have to do with the overall location that you start in. What community? What neighborhood? What does your block look like? Does it blighted because of a few homes that aren't taking care of things? Or is it a desirable place where people are going to feel safe? What school districts are served here? What water districts? So all of the factors of a community come into play, and they play a huge role in determining the price of your home. The third biggest factor is the property itself. It's the size of the lot, the size of the home, the quality of the construction, the floor plan, the layout, the utility of this property, the condition that it's in. And I think most importantly within this category is the appeal. Does it have an emotional appeal? Is it like a grade F as a fixer? Is it like a grade D, barely habitable, but it can get a loan? Is it C, like as in condition, and you're going to get inspections and determine if it's up to a standard you can live with? Is it a B, that it's move-in ready and it's clean? Is it an A, that you love it? Or is it an A+ that you just got to have it? Those all determine the price. The fourth factor in determining the price you'll get for selling a home has to do with the strategy you use. At a highest level, you can decide off-market, on-market, or auction. Within each of those categories, there are many more choices and tactics that you want to deploy, but choosing the right strategy for the property at the time is essential. And by the way, in each of these key factors, I'm going to produce additional videos that delve into those details with a lot more specificity. The fifth factor in determining the price you get for a property is the starting asking price. The listing price is of utmost importance in a traditional sale. It doesn't play as much of a role in the off-market because often there the buyer is determining what they're willing to pay for it. And it's not as important a role, but it is important to get a starting bid in an auction process. But the asking price has a lot to do with what you ultimately can get as the best selling price. The sixth key factor in determining the selling price of any given property is the exposure it gets. The number one key, unless you're selling it off market, is the MLS. Don't dismiss the MLS because it's sort of a given. It is the most powerful engine for exposing the property to the world. The second key, and it's only an on-off switch, when the listing agent on the input form has a field called Internet On-Off, better choose on, because that multiplies the MLS impact to all of the broker sites through IDX, to all of the aggregator sites like Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia and Redfin, and that won't happen if you say no to putting it on the internet. The third key to getting the most exposure is the photos that you have. Not having quantity of photos, but quality of photos. A professional photographer can capture a lot of emotion in this property that is really essential because people look at the pictures before they look at the text. The fourth element of getting the right exposure is the description of the property. If you oversell the property, people come and they see it and it didn't meet their expectations based on what they had imagined. If you are accurate in the description but not overly selling it, people coming to the property have already accepted that description in the photos and now aren't disappointed and may actually be happily surprised. The next element is actually taking a video. Nowadays, every property needs a video, whether it's made with an iPhone with a walkthrough of the property, or if it's done more professionally with a videographer, or if you get a drone involved because it's a larger property and it's important to see the context of this parcel in the neighborhood, a video is essential. The next one is signs. It may sound kind of trivial, but sometimes you can't find the property. If a buyer's meeting their agent at the property and they can't find it because there wasn't an arrow pointing down the lane that they had to drive to and a sign that says, oh, here it is, big mistake. Beyond the sign, you want your video on YouTube. YouTube is the biggest foundation. It's the second biggest search engine. And the first biggest search engine is the last one, and that is Google. You must have Google search finding the property. It may involve some paid advertising. It may involve some good SEO. But if people are searching for homes for sale in your neighborhood and this listing is not coming up, that's a big problem. So the seventh key is buyer accessibility. Best is when the home is vacant, when it's been staged, when it's clean, when it's really easy to show, and people don't need to make an appointment. The instructions to the selling agents and the buyers is go and show, leave a card. It's got a lockbox, that's essential. You need to make it easy to get appointments. Online appointment systems is integrated in our MLS, and there isn't a reason that someone shouldn't use that feature. And then you want to have an open house, at least one, because there are curious neighbors. That is something you can advertise, get exposure on when the open house is. You can have a YouTube video on it. You want to make sure that those people that are kind of curious and are maybe looking on behalf of a friend aren't actually working with a realtor with a lockbox key, get a chance to see it at an open house. And the last one is that there's a period for showing. It isn't a race to see who gets their offer in first, and that's called an offer due by date. If that's shown in the private remarks for other agents in the MLS, agents know they have until next Tuesday at noon to get their offer in. So they're rushed to get the buyers to see it tonight as the last minute is not there. It should be on that, in that phase for about a week. The eighth factor is quite interesting. It's actually what to avoid, distractions and myths to not buy into. The biggest myth I see out there is that social media sells property. That's a bunch of hooey. You know, having the chance that someone on their Facebook page or their Instagram post or on their TikTok or on their LinkedIn site has the proper home for someone who happens to be looking in that area. It's like a billboard on the side of the highway. What's the chances of all of the cars driving by and seeing that sign that that's the house they're going to want to buy? You're better off in places where people are searching for a home in the community through Google, through MLS, but this idea that social media sells property, it's just not true. And there are the agents who have secret friends, buyers that are not looking on the MLS but will trust them when they call with a listing that they get. Nonsense. It isn't about an individual's agent's sphere of influence. It's about the world knowing. It's about the community of the North Bay, of the Bay Area, of the United States, and actually the world having access to see this property that is for sale. And if they're looking for it, they're going to find it, not through friends, not through associates, not through secret buyers. That's a bunch of nonsense. And then there's the broadcast media that talks about Jack buys Bay Area properties. All cash, close quickly, Or you'll have institutional investors that truly are buying up property. But you may not take a 30% hit on the price, but you're going to take at least a 15% hit on the price. Those folks too are offering cash. They're mostly looking off market, and so choosing to believe that you can get a higher price that way just doesn't make sense. Some of the truly disturbing myths and distractions are, we'll give this property its own website. What nonsense. A YouTube posting, yes, but a website that just lays out the flyer and the pictures? That's totally redundant and unnecessary. We've got QR codes, so people will come by and see on your ad, they click the QR code, they'll come out to this website. What a bunch of nonsense. It reminds me of, I don't think they're popular anymore, but talking signs. The idea that you can, in your car, tune in on a frequency when you're in front of an open house to get the information. We're beyond that technology. So all these gadgets are a big distraction. And if sellers are concerned about those things, they're not focused in on the real key elements. I've left the 9th one to be last, and that is, to get the best price, you really need professional representation. You need a broker, agent, realtor who's experienced and who knows how to handle the planning, the pre-sale, the dealing with offers, the working counter offers, getting through escrow, closing the deal so you don't lose money is really a key factor to getting the best price. And if you think this video, with its 9 key factors for getting the highest price, makes sense, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this content and want more of it, and you're going to get breakdowns of each of those key elements in further videos that I put on Broker Bernie, then subscribe, please. And in addition to subscribing, if you click on that bell, you'll be notified, and you won't miss any of the next chapters of Broker Bernie. Thank you for watching.